Hi everyone, welcome along and thanks for watching our October Market Watch. There's quite a few markets looking interesting at the moment, but there's three in particular I want to focus on in this video, specifically because of their seasonal bias, just as we head into October and later in through the year. Being October, the equity markets are going to be very much of interest at this time of year, and that's exactly where I'm going to start. Now, obviously, we've had a strong outperformance of the US equities through the summer periods, and it's not those that I'm actually going to focus on at this stage. I actually have a preference for the European markets, and in particular the DAX, specifically because of the pattern in which we're following. We've been following very, very nicely the typical seasonal movement, the strong February through to May-April period, that weakness through from May into the middle of September, and this move now through to the end of the year. And the DAX has followed that very, very nicely this year. We just go over onto the chart, just have a quick look at that. Bring up the DAX. You'll see here in the daily chart of the DAX, you'll see the typical low at towards the middle of February, and that rally through. An actual seasonal peak was bang on right when we would typically expect to see that, and that seasonal peak and the weakness that typically follows, and we've seen that as well follow through. So the DAX following nicely in the seasonal pattern, and that's given the confidence that we should expect to see a continuation of that. Now, typically we're looking for a low just around the sort of 17th, 18th of September. We've actually just made a low a couple of days before that, but we're very, very much in that window. Now, looking at this, looking for a rally through to the end of the year, there's a couple of ways to play this. Obviously, the safe way is to wait for a breakthrough this high that I've got marked through here. If we get a breakthrough that high and look for trend continuation moves, look for a retest into that area, and look for a continuation run, possibly back up towards these highs as we run into the close of the year. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive, there's a possibility of looking for an inverted head and shoulders as we retest this little level in here. I'm looking for a bounce then to get back up through that level. So I'd say either around this area here, or wait for a break, the safe entry, waiting for a break of that high and the retest from that. But the DAX, the fact that we're following very, very closely with the movement and the price action we're seeing now in line with what we're expecting seasonally, I'd have a preference. This is one of the markets I have a preference for. Another one I'm looking at, which I'm very interested in at the moment, is in the currency market, and that is the Australian dollar. Again, like the DAX, we've been following a very, very strong seasonal pattern. We didn't quite get the rally at the beginning of the year in the Aussie dollar, but very much so from May through till the end of September, the Aussie has very much been under pressure. And now we're looking for slight fight back. If we're going to have a bit of a fight back by the Aussie dollar, October, is typically the month we start to see a bit of an outperformance for the Australian dollar. So now would be a time to sort of look for a long entry and see if we can get a run up and try to challenge some of the recent highs. Just jumping over onto the chart of the Aussie. You see here I've marked on as well the typical bearish period and around here from about usually around the 25th of May. We actually just topped out a few days before that. Nice little swing high through there into the bearish period, and we followed the pattern nicely, say, through that period into mid-September, when we typically expect to see a low. Very similar to the price action actually we're getting in the DAX, looking for the possible the next higher low. Again, looking for a breakout of the previous high. Weak selling through here at the moment, so if buyers can actually break through a bit of resistance, again looking to break through that previous high and look for trend continuations. If we can do that, I think we can push up towards the high 76, 77 areas, maybe a little bit higher, but that'll be a nice little trade as we run through. So the next 4 or 5 weeks, I think if the Aussie can find some momentum early on in the next through certainly the end of this week and in the next week, that would bode well for the continuation through to the end of October into early November. And the last market, a little bit different. It's a bit more of an aggressive play, very much against the run of how we're moving at the moment, and that is in the energy sector, and that's crude oil. Crude, again, same as the other two, very, very strong seasonal pattern that we've had all year, typically from the historic low we get from the beginning of February. That very, very strong run up towards the end of June. Somewhere would progress upward to the end of July, and then we typically don't do an awful lot through the summer, but generally we sort of edge up. We push towards a high towards the end of September into early October, and that's typically around the 9th to the 12th of October, so we're not very far away with that. If we just jump onto the crude oil chart, you'll see here I've marked on the typical seasonal highs and lows, and there's the seasonal low 12th of February. Typically the low point for the year, and we actually got the low just on the Friday before that. So we're very much in line, and typically I say that strong period, early 5 months of the year, 5-6 months of the year, we typically top out towards the end of June, which we indeed did do. Stagnated a little bit through the summer, and we're now just looking for that push out towards, as we run into the 9th to 12th of October typically. Now if we can see a little bit of a push higher, that would fit really, really nicely. If we just zoom out a little bit, would fit really nicely with a target, with a major resistance line we've got here, would sit nicely around the $80 mark. So I think if we can get a push up towards that $80 mark, somewhere in, say, going into next week, it could present a really nice opportunity for a short in this market. Certainly if you're long in energies and long in crude in particular, that summer we'll be looking to try and take some profit. But depending on what the price action we can get around this area, it could present itself with a really nice opportunity to get short of this market as we head into typically the bearish period as we run through October and into November. Okay, guys, that's the three markets I would favor at the moment. Seasonally, they're following really, really strong patterns, and the price action is very much in line with what we'd expect to see going into the next 5, 6, 7 weeks. There's a couple of other markets I'm interested in, especially across the metals and in the currencies as well. I'm very much looking at Kiwi and the British pound, but I'll leave you with those three, and if you want to see more, you can join on to MMC TV, join in every week and go through a bit more of a wider variety. But for now, follow those three guys. Hopefully they'll pan out nicely for us, give us some nice opportunities to get in line with what we're expecting. And I'll speak to you again at the beginning of November.